Okay, good day and welcome everyone to another tutorial in Logos Bible software. I'm your host, Pastor Damian Chambers. Last time we basically gave you an overview or introduction to the different features in Logos. And today we'll be digging deeper into those features. Now, there are two ways I could do this. I could go feature by feature and trying to explain each of them, but that would have been in a disjointed way. And so, because I know most times Bible study is what we do, so I'll be doing a Bible study and then show you the feature as I go along so that you can see their usefulness. All right. So in this tutorial, I'll be looking at finding and opening your Bible passage, selecting your Bible version, exploring the passage guide, using the interlinear feature, finding useful information on your passage, using the exegetical guide, and then looking at notes. So we're first going to look at finding and opening your Bible passage. So for this study, we're going to be looking at St. Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 to 11. And as I mentioned in the first tutorial, this text box up here with the search button beside it is the most powerful place in Logos, because that is where you ask Logos for every and anything you need. There are different commands you could give, but I can't go into them right now. But this is where you can tell Logos what you want exactly. So let's go Matthew 4, verse 1 to 11. And if you notice, it gives me 4 different options in terms of how I could explore this passage. I could search the passage or search for it. I could start reading it aloud. I could do a lookup for the passage in my preferred Bible. But what I really want to do is to open passage study layout, because that's the most resourceful setting in Logos. All right, so let's open the layout. And if you notice, it brings up 1, 2, 3, 4 sections that you will find very useful as I go along. The first section is your study guide section over here. Then you have your actual Bible. Then down here you have Bible commentary. And over this side you have information. Now, one of the first things you want to do is you want to create a link among all of these sections, so that when you move, for example, let's say I scroll to another verse, if you notice, the Bible commentary is also moving with the passage, but over here is not moving because of a feature that is called link set. If you notice, you'll see an A with a colored background on the Bible, and also it's found on the Bible commentary. That means these two are linked together, and as they move, the other one move. You also want to link your passage guide, and you can do that by clicking on the 3 dots right here and do link set and select A. So if you notice, you also have other link sets that you could have created, but that's for another time. So we lock the passage guide into the same passage that's over here. If you notice, automatically it changes to Matthew 4 verse 6, because that's where we are in our reading. So let's go now. If you notice, as I move, the other 2 sections are moving with me. All right, so that's creating the link set and finding and opening your passage. Now the next step you want to do is selecting your Bible version. By default, if you notice, we have a number of versions here, Bible versions, and there's one that is selected by default. It is not an accident because in my logos, the English Standard Version is the default version or preferred version for me personally. You can change that by going to a number of different ways you could do it. One, you could just type into this search box by saying set preferred Bible version to KJV, and it would obey that command by setting the Bible version to that version. Or you could go to the library and find that Bible version that you want to use. So if you want to use King James Version, you find the book and click on the three dots beside it and say prioritize this resource. All right, and it would become your preferred Bible version. You also would like to set your preferred Bible commentary. Currently, I have the SDA Bible commentary as my preferred Bible commentary. But again, that's not an accident. You would do the same thing. You would go to the library and you would find SDA Bible commentary. And you click on the three dots on any one of them, and you could say prioritize this resource or prioritize this series. In this case, you'd want to prioritize the series because it would prioritize not only the Bible commentary but also the Bible dictionary for you. All right, so that is selecting your Bible version. The next thing I want to show you is exploring the Bible passage. Exploring the Bible passage or the passage guide. That is to your left. All right. So what Logos does is that based on the passage that you select, it provides several resources that it feels you will need. One of the first ones is called your content, which refers to any notes that you would have typed on Matthew 4 in this case. And we're going to get to the notes section in a little while, but these are notes that I would have in previous Bible studies would have jotted down and attached to Matthew chapter 4 verse 1. Those are my thoughts on it. And immediately it reminds you that you have some resources connected with Matthew 4, and you can open any of them as you choose. Then you have also Bible commentaries. I have several Bible commentaries in my Logos package, starting with the SDA Bible commentary. Immediately it finds volume 5 because that's where Matthew 4 is found. Then you have Matthew Henry's commentary and so on. You can choose the commentary that you want to read on that. Then journals, there are no results for journals, but that's a feature you could have. Parallel passages is a very good feature, especially for the Gospels, because if you notice right now, it's giving you the harmony of the synoptic Gospels. So the story of the temptation of Jesus is found in not only Matthew, but also Mark and Luke, and you can see the parallel passages based on the Gospels. That's a feature, useful feature there. Then you have cross references is something you would use in a Bible study. Immediately I'm seeing where the three quotations from Jesus in response to Satan's temptation found in Deuteronomy immediately comes up, because those would be the more prominent cross reference in the Bible, and you have other cross references. For example, the text that Satan quoted found in Psalm chapter 91 comes up, and we have other less, if you want to say less important references, but they are references just the same. All right. Then you have a useful feature called biblical places. Right now, I'm not seeing any biblical places because in in the few verses right here, there are no biblical place. But if I scroll down and go to the passage immediately following the one I'm studying, you're going to find Galilee, Nazareth, Zebulun, and so on coming up. And it will give you useful resource on Galilee and Nazareth. Same thing with biblical people. Um, Whoever is found in these passages, it gives a study on them and useful resources that you can find. And I guess the same principle apply to biblical things and events. All right. The other useful thing I want to focus on is illustrations. There are other stuff you can explore on your own, but illustrations would come up. There's a resource that you should find in your library called Encyclopedia of 7,700 Illustrations. When you are done with your sermon preparation, you want to find some good illustrations. That's a useful resource to find, and it automatically brings them up here, though you could have gone to the library and find it yourself. But it brings up the relevant illustrations based on the passage that you're studying. The final one I want to look at in this section is the media resources. It suggests different images that let's say you want to do a PowerPoint presentation, you would probably find some of these images, resources based relevant to the passage that you're studying. All right, so that's for the passage guide. Then you want to look at the interlinear feature. Those of you who are au fait with the biblical languages, you're studying Matthew 4, and you want to see the declensions and the word forms and so on. You look at the interlinear feature, you click on it here, and it will show you a breakdown of each word in the passage. So for example, here you have each word, the Greek coming under, and a definition for each word in the different dictionaries. You can see how each word is broken down and the different translations of the words. All right. Now, that's the interlinear feature for the language people. Then another useful section is the information section for your passage that comes right over on the right hand here. If you want to find out useful information on any word, for example, let's use spirit. If you just click on the word, literally click on it, and it will bring up the definition over here. You have translation, you have word info, and so on. These are useful information that you'd want right at your fingertip. All right. Next feature you want to explore is the exegetical guide. I'm coming down. This is the penultimate one. The exegetical guide doesn't come up automatically, but you can find it right here. You just click on this plus, and I scroll down to guides, and I find it all the way down here on the exegetical guide. Why is that useful? Let's type in, it's asking me to type in the reference. I'm using Matthew 4 verse 1 to 11. It's going to give you the most useful feature here, a word by word breakdown of the passage, just like the interlinear guide, but it goes deeper. So you see right here the Greek version of the passage and a word by word breakdown. So you can see that the word tote, or for then, is an adverb. We can find Esios. Matter of fact, if you can't pronounce it very well, you can click on the audio,
Jesus,
right, and you'll hear it being pronounced. Anargo, right? Anargo is a verb, aorist, passive, indicative, third person singular, finite verb. Again, that's useful for the especially for the theology students or those who are attending seminary. Then finally, I want to, oh, by the way, for the exegetical guide to function with you, again, you probably want to create a link set with it to link with the A so that it moves with your passage. Finally, we're going to explore the notes, and that's where we'll stop for this time. Notes, again, if you notice these yellow sticky note things around my passage, that's because while I was studying this passage some time ago in the past, I made a note right here, and I can click on it and open that note, and here's what my comments were. Comments don't have to be useful just because they are your comments, you know. If you want to create a new note, I usually don't create my notes here. I use my tablet version of Logos to create my notes while I'm studying. But if you want to create it here, you can click New Note and ensure that the passage you're commenting on is indicated up here, and you can type your notes. So for example, you can say, you know, it is interesting to note that it was the Spirit who led Jesus into the wilderness to be tempted. That's your notes. And if you notice, it creates two separate notes because this is actually a separate note from one I created before. And as long as you have Logos on any device, that note will appear there. So next time when you're creating a sermon on Matthew 4, you find all your notes. And if you scroll down, you'll see places that I may have placed notes in different places. All right, that's basically the end of this brief tutorial on doing a basic Bible study. Next time we will explore other features by doing other things in Logos. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.